And moving on, we have a one more take. We have a fellow VTuber, darlingstrawbie, or Straub for short, said this: anyone who act like being a full-time content creator is harder than a real 9-to-5 / hard labor job is genuinely disillusional and needs to get back in touch with reality, especially considering majority of people funding your life as a content creator are doing those hard jobs. What do you think about this, Meow Win?
I feel like she makes sense. Like, it's a lot of work, but at the same time, I guess it depends on the 9-to-5 job, though.
Yes, I kind of agree too, because there's a lot of factors, nuances, and situation, because everybody job in real life job is different. Now, darlingstrawbie kind of clarified thing to add some clarification to this is that to clarify, because some people still don't seem to understand, I'm not saying content creation can't be challenging or hard, but I can take a random day off if I need to. I can work for a few hours at my own schedule, go lay in bed, and rest for an hour or 2 or 3, and then continue working. When you're truly able to do content creation full time and are able to be your own boss, that is a privilege. I'm also not talking about people who are struggling to make ends meet being a content creator, because in my opinion, if that's the case, you should probably have a real job if that's possible for you. I have had a lot of challenges as a content creator, but it will never compare to waking up at 5:30 a.m. to teach a bunch of kids, getting home at 5 p.m. and still needing to grade papers and do my lesson plans. Not to mention the pay is not great. I am just very lucky that this made reality, and I wish we could all see job for what it is, a dream job.
Yeah, she's right. It is like a ton of work, but once you're at the point where it's almost like you're established and you get enough income that it's not that you're like not struggling to make ends meet, then you do have that privilege to just like take a day off if you need to, like at the drop of a hat.
Right. Yeah, but of course, a lot of people say their own opinion, so we're gonna see some response here. So we have Zach here coming out saying like, that really depends, Straw. Think of it this way. A 9-to-5 job is very, very tough. Yes, but content creation is sort of like managing your own job. You make your hours and the salary is tied to what you do. It's risky. It's something you invest in many more hours. Some streamers go live for even over 10 hours. I'm not saying 9-to-5 jobs are better, but each have some ups and downs, and I don't think full-time content creation is that good in the current world. Even more so with the huge competition and the very unlikely chance you'd get big. And Zach here kinda does make a good point, because a full-time content creation has a lot of its up and down, and every job has their own pros and cons, right? And there's so many different kind of jobs out there that has its own challenge or even has less difficulty.
Right,
and yes,
right.
Like what Turtle, again, hard labor maybe, but I have an office job that's way less stressful than being a high-profile content creator. And that's a good thing to hear if you have a office job that's very less stressful, because I know here in the States, at least here in the States, a lot of people say office job sucks. That's kind of like the mental image for a lot of people here in the States about office job.
Yeah.
And then we have Legal Mindset. He is an attorney who's very active in the Vtubing community, who cover a lot of legality in the Vtubing or content creation space. And this is what he said. I do not comprehend why this is a controversial statement. Yes, content creation can be very difficult, but we aren't loggers, deep sea fishermen, or steel worker with a serious risk of loss of life and limbs. Yes, all types of work are hard, but it isn't apples to apples. What does he mean? That not every in real life job can be compared. That's what he's saying. And if we take content creation, content creation is no exception to this. Not every job can be compared, you know?
Right, exactly. Like, even if it's just like office jobs, like content creation could be harder than like one of those office jobs where people say they just sit on like and like scroll TikTok all day and get paid to do nothing. But it could be like a lot easier than if you're like working like a shitty office job.
Right. And also we have Kyle Wilson coming here to say there's a difference between there are hard things about this job and this is a hard job. If it were easy,
Yes.
everyone would do it. You still have to be entertaining. Lots of people can't do that. And I agree, a lot of people cannot do certain job or certain thing in life. I mean, a lot of people I know want to be a VTuber, want to be a content creator. But the difficult challenge is that, like, no matter, for some people, no matter how hard you do, how much effort you put in, not everyone will make it. That's the reality. I'm not saying that everyone cannot be a content creation, because here's the thing, getting into content creation, it's easy enough, but sticking to it, it's just another step, and that is the hardest part for most people, because so many people get into content creation with some high expectation, maybe a little too high expectation, because they either for success, for the money, or the fun. But once they see the grind and the work and the effort hours,
and the
a lot
amount
of
of,
people
like,
were just
clerical
going to
work,
say, you
right?
know, oh, I quit. I cannot continue on doing this. This is just not for me. And that is actually perfectly okay, because everybody has something that they're good at and something that they're not good at, you know? So it's just a normal thing to do, and that's just part of life, you know? So, but however, this whole topic about, you know, oh, streaming or content creation is harder than 9-to-5 job or easier than 9-to-5 job, it's kind of really ridiculous, because there's just too many factors, too many different situations, and too many, like, you know, nuances, because it's based off on individual perspective and whatnot. Now, in my opinion, in my absolute opinion, I think content creation is genuinely easier than a lot of the in real life job. But I'm only saying that because as an IT engineer, there are times when I'm very busy, and there are times when I'm not so busy.
Right. I know. I was gonna say it's. I'm biased. I come from a very biased place, because I also used to teach like Straub did, and I do lots of physical work where I get poked and stabbed by thorns all the time. So I'm very biased about that, where I'm like, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, so yeah, I think darlingstrawbie here, she's an interesting take. I think she's only saying the perspective from way she's here, because she is from a teaching work, from teaching.
Yeah,
of
teaching is
course,
like
content creation, it's like, to her eye, it's gotta be most enjoyable. They're teaching to a bunch of kids,
and it's like way
that
less work.
that can act so rude, so naughty, and also especially dealing with parents too.
Yeah, and you're stuck with dealing with like teaching. You can't teach outside the box. You have to teach inside the box, and the box is an extremely specific guideline to how you're allowed to teach.
Right? Like, education nowadays, it's like, it's important now more than ever, but we're getting to the point that, like, a lot of the old method is so outdated, and schools, at least here in the States, need to step up the game if we want to, you know, quote unquote, be, you know, like, modern in our society, to our needs of society today. But unfortunately, the States here, the US here, is lacking in that, behind for the rest, from comparing to the other country. But that's another story to tell. That's completely off topic. But when it comes to, like, the job thing and all, yeah.
Right.
I would
the
say
amount
that
of
content
work that
creation,
teaching is.
I say content creation is genuinely easy, but that's only because I have a biased perspective, because I'm only comparing to my own situation. Other people's situation, it's going to be different, so way they're gonna see it's going to be different too. Maybe content creation today is much harder or much easier for them. So there's a lot of nuances and factors that we can't say, like, you know, oh, content creation is absolutely easier than in real life job, or the opposite also true too. Content creation is absolutely harder than in real life job. There's no yes or no to this. It's a very gray situation. Very gray. There's no right or wrong answer to it, because everybody's situation is different. Some people prefer to be a content creator, others don't want to be a content creator. That's the thing. So that's the thing.
Right. And it's like super circumstantial, because it's like, yes, like if I were to like sit down and do content creation, decide to do that full time, yes, it would be like way less hard work, but it would be a lot harder for me to actually get the job done, because I am very, very bad at like sitting down and making myself do work, whereas like I could do the work that I do outside because like I'm just there already, so I'm like kind of forced to, you know what I mean?
Right,
And
right.
I have like a not like a boss over my shoulder, but you know what I mean, like there's someone there guiding me on what to do.
Mhm.
So it's like very like, I don't know, circumstantial.
Yeah, it is. Everything is circumstantial, Meow, and everything is circumstantial in this case.
Yeah. And I feel like good for Straub, because I feel like it sounds like her crappy job was a blessing in disguise before, like when she didn't realize at the time, because since it was so much work all the time, now all of the like crazy amount of work that content creation is in like comparison less than what she was doing before.
Yeah, and she's also kind of very lucky because she has a very supportive partner. She's happened to be married. She's married to Revse Desu from YouTube. And Revse Desu is a much more experienced content creator. I remember hearing the story that Revse Desu helped with Straub to get on the toe with content creation. So
that's
she
good.
was
Yeah.
very blessed
she
for
wasn't
that.
starting with no like no ref, like, you know what I mean? She wasn't like thrown into to the deep end of water trying to learn how to swim, sort of like the way that most of us had to start out.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, you know, Darling Straub just had a very fortunate life. Fortunate, like a very
I'm glad
kind
for her.
partner who helped her to get on toe with content creation. So she's very, I guess you could say she's very privileged. She's just an exception to the rule. Exception to the rule. But she still had to put some effort into it, obviously. But yeah. Anyway, like Legal Mindset said, we don't know why this topic itself is so controversial. I guess the only way why it's so controversial is because a lot of people say things and not everybody agree with everyone's opinion, or just very close-minded. They say like, my opinion's right and everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I'm not even gonna accept thinking about your opinion.
Exactly. Some people are just a little hard-headed, too hard-headed.
They're like, how dare you make me think?
Yeah, some people are just really weird.
Yeah.
Exactly, very weird indeed.